Whether a person is really just getting too hot to where they really can't sleep at night, or they're waking up in a horrible puddle of their own sweat, this issue can be very tricky because the underlying cause can really vary greatly from person to person. And Heather asked me to make this video. She says that no matter what she tries, she's always way too hot. And when she tried to find some answers on the internet, all the things that she found were nothing short of a little bit stupid. So what we're going to do in this video is going to be a little bit fun. We're going to talk about some of the most common underlying causes for a person who's either getting too hot or they're having night sweats. And hot flashes can fit into this category a little bit, and we'll talk about why that is. But we're going to talk about the most common underlying causes, and we're going to talk about some simple tests that you can do at home to figure out what underlying cause may be creating this issue for you. Let's jump in.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So when a person becomes, a furnace, when they're trying to sleep, whether it's mild, severe, or even in short spurts of time, we kind of want to look at the fact that most people agree that these issues can come about when somebody goes on birth control or comes off of birth control, or they're having a baby, or they're premenopausal, or menopausal, or perimenopausal, whatever you want to call it, or some medications can create these issues. So let's look at these factors first before we get to some of these other variations that can create the problem. And when we're looking at these initial factors that most people agree upon, they'll say, oh, you're hormonal. And you'll be like, oh, wow, that's helpful. Not at all. What does that even tell me? Why am I hormonal? That doesn't really make sense. I don't feel hormonal. But what we want to look at is that a birth control pill, like a hormonal birth control, has the ability to really raise estrogen level, and so do a lot of these medications. Some of them are specific to raising estrogen level. That's even their purpose. And what this does is estrogen is a stress hormone. And raising this stress hormone can help the body function when there's not enough resources for the body to function correctly. So when we're looking at situations like a woman is pregnant or going into menopause, these are scenarios that come about that can create a deficit of resources that the body needs. The baby, a lot of those resources are going towards making that baby. A lot of women go into menopause early because they don't have enough resources for the body to continue that cycle. So I have videos that I talk about that. You can check on my videos page if you want to dig a little bit deeper into that, and we'll put some links in the description below. But the main thing to understand is that when resources go low, the body will jack up these hormone levels in an effort to keep the body functioning the way that it wants to function. So when the resources are low because it's going towards a baby, then the body jacks up these hormone levels, and people will just say, oh, you're pregnant, you're going to be hormonal. But there's actually reasons that a person becomes hormonal. But the thing that's important to understand here is that these hormonal states, where these stress hormones like estrogen are really jacked up high, can push us into what we call a more sympathetic state. So the autonomic nervous system kind of runs a lot of the show behind the curtains without us having to think about it. So there's a sympathetic fight or flight state, and there's also a parasympathetic rest and digest state. So both states are appropriate, and the body kind of moves back and forth as it needs to. But for a wide variety of reasons, a person can get stuck in this sympathetic fight or flight state. And they may be stuck there because there's a lot of stress in their life, or there may not be really much stress in their life at all, but there could be a lot of stress in the body. The body could be dealing with a lot of stress. And a big stress to the body is not having enough resources to run all the functions that it needs to function. That would be like you trying to pay $800 worth of bills with 12 bucks. That's pretty stressful to do. So when a person is pushed into this sympathetic fight or flight state, it can change the way the body operates to help the body deal and survive during this emergency. So you're being chased by a lion, the body's going to kind of change the way that it functions in order to survive this running away from a lion. It changes the fuel the body uses, it changes the temperature that the body is operating at so that it can operate at a higher level and prioritize survival. So one of the functions that happens is that it can raise the body temperature. And we want to keep in mind, well, why am I only on fire when I go to bed at night? Well, when we go to bed, we move into this anabolic state, which is our rest and repair and rebuild state at the cellular level. And the body has a lot of functions that it does to not only rest and rebuild and repair, but also detoxify. You don't just go to sleep and your body's like, hey, I'll go to sleep too. It's doing a lot of work. And a lot of these hot flash type situations come from when the body's like, hey, I can't deal with what's going on here. I got to raise all these stress hormones. And the hormones themselves can really cause those hot flashes. So here's a simple test that you can do to figure out if maybe you're leaning too far on that sympathetic fight or flight, hey, my body's in an emergency type state. Just take your blood pressure, resting, just sit down or lie down, and you want to do this at least 2 hours after a meal, but not first thing in the morning. It should be after a meal. And then you want to look at that top number, which is called the systolic number, and then you want to subtract the diastolic number. So if your blood pressure was 120 over 80, you would subtract 80 from 120, and that would be 40. So that would give you what's called a pulse pressure. So we want to look at that pulse pressure number, and if that number is higher than 46, that's a strong sign that a person is leaning too far in that sympathetic fight or flight state. So then you need to figure out, okay, am I too stressed? Is my boss a jerk? Do I need to find a way to simmer down now? Or is my body dealing with the stress? And we're going to talk about some factors that we can look at to figure out, is my body overly stressed? But if you're stuck in that fight or flight state, it could really be heating up your body at night when it's trying to do all these other functions. And if you can take steps to move yourself out of that state, then you may reduce that heat factor that's going on at night. Now, a lot of other people also considered low blood pressure or hypotension as a factor for night sweat type situations. And they kind of view it as there's a lack of a distribution of blood and oxygen through the body, which can create that heated situation. But I kind of view this as this low blood pressure is really a sign of a lack of minerals and nutrients in the system. When we look at blood pressure, it's kind of showing us the level of minerals, proteins, sugar, maybe even filth and junk as well. But when we look at our resting blood pressure like you did before, we want to look at that top systolic number, and if it's lower than 112, that's a really strong sign that both minerals and possibly nutrients are really low in the system. And this is really common to see. And when the nutrients and minerals are low in the system, then again, the body doesn't have the resources it needs to function the way that it wants to function, and that's going to stress the body out and cause the body to say, hey, I'm going to raise these stress hormones to help me function the way that I want to function. And then that stress hormone inflation is going to push you into that sympathetic fight or flight state. So low blood pressure can be caused by a lot of things, but we like to really look at, are you having any type of digestive symptoms at all? Any burping, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, nausea, maybe even acne or skin issues, or maybe just food just kind of sits there like a rock in your stomach for 6 hours when you eat it. Any of those things are signs that digestion is not working correctly. And when you're not digesting your food correctly, you're not pulling all the minerals and nutrients out of that food. And that means that your body's not getting the nutrients that it needs to function. Did you know that's why we eat? We eat to give the body these minerals and nutrients that it needs to function correctly. So if you're having any type of digestive symptoms, you really got to correct those if you want any hope of correcting this issue. So my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, walks you through how to look at digestive malfunctions and figure out which aspects of digestion may not be working for you, and then steps you can take to correct that. So the book is available on Amazon, but I'm going to put a link in the description below this video so you can get the whole book totally for free. And that'll walk you through those steps to understand how to figure out those digestive issues, and if you have low blood pressure, how to bring that up. The next factor we want to look at is hypoglycemic type issues. If you're getting like a little bit hangry, or you're like kind of crash when you haven't eaten for a couple hours, you may be dealing with some issues where blood sugar is really crashing. And if this is you, you really want to watch our video on understanding hypoglycemia issues, and we'll put the link in the description below. But one thing you can test is you can get some urine pH test strips, and you can look at the pH of your urine at least 2 hours after a meal. And if it's above like 6.4 or so, that can sometimes correlate with insulin that is overly powerful, a little bit too much like a bully. And when you eat carbohydrates or sugar, your body's sweeping too much glucose out of the bloodstream too quickly and creating a sugar crash. And this sugar crash is going to create a stress for the body because it's losing its fuel. It doesn't have any fuel available to function correctly. And if you already have low blood pressure and low mineral levels, then that reaction the body's going to have is going to be greatly magnified. When both minerals and glucose both go low at the same time, that can really be a stressful situation for the body and push you into that sympathetic fight or flight state. Another issue that can heat you up at night that a lot of people agree on is sleep apnea. And they say, well, this is kind of like a stress response when there's not enough oxygen available. And they're looking at sleep apnea like, well, the person stops breathing, so no oxygen comes in, and that's a lack of oxygen, so the body kind of freaks out and raises all of its stress signals that can raise the temperature of the body. But there are also other issues that can reduce oxygen available even when a person doesn't have sleep apnea. And for some people, this can even be the cause of their sleep apnea. We have a video about sleep apnea, and I'll put the link in the description below. But what you can do is you can look at your breath rate, so the rate at which you're breathing. You can just set a common kitchen timer or the timer on your phone for 1 minute, and then count the number of inhales that you have in a minute. Don't count inhale as 1 and exhale in 2. You're just looking for the inhales. And if that number is lower than 12, that can be a strong indication that the bloodstream may be leaning a little bit too far on the alkaline side. And when that happens, what's called the Bohr effect kicks in. And the Bohr effect helps us understand that when the blood is too alkaline, oxygen can't get down to the tissues where it needs to be for the body to function correctly. So there may be plenty of oxygen in the system, but it's not getting where it needs to be. So you can find, oh man, my breath rate is only like 9. So my blood may be leaning too alkaline, restricting oxygen utilization and creating this stress in the body while I'm trying to sleep that's raising this stress situation and raising the temperature of my body. High blood sugar and type 2 diabetes is often also another common sign that we see with this night sweat type situation. A lot of people don't even know that they might have high blood sugar. So you can get a glucometer at a pharmacy for like $30 and just check your blood sugar first thing in the morning right when you wake up. And if it's over 100, that's a sign that you may be leaning a little bit on the insulin resistant side. And when you're insulin resistant, that means that the cells are not listening to insulin as well, and more glucose is accumulating in the bloodstream and raising the insulin levels even higher to kind of help process this glucose. And that high insulin can create a lot of inflammation and a lot of stress for the body. So that can be a big deal and a really easy thing for you to check on your own. You can just do that at home by yourself. So a lot of these factors that are creating this overheating or night sweats, or in some cases even hot flash type situations, a lot of these are coming from a variety of malfunctions or imbalances that can happen in the body. And my book that I told you how to get for free in the description below talks a lot about different imbalances and how to check these simple self-tests at home to figure out where problems may be originating from. So if you hate to read, we also have a totally free digestion course that walks you through these same steps. And we'll put the link to that totally free course in the description below with the link to get the book for free as well. So a couple other factors to think about if none of these things are going on with you is that everybody kind of agrees that obesity is a big factor for night sweats. And when we're looking at this, for a lot of people, obesity is more than just, oh, I ate too much. For a lot of people, it can be a toxicity issue where the body doesn't have the ability to detox the way that it should, and it's storing a lot of this junk and toxins and fat cells and creating kind of a stressful situation in the body. So the body will elevate this heat level to help the body sweat more, because sweat is another detox pathway. When the main exit strategy for detox and toxins of bioflow is not working correctly, then the body will say, hey, well, I'm going to push some of this stuff out through the skin. So the body will raise the temperature just to elevate the level at which we sweat so it can push out more toxins through the skin. And this can happen even more at night when the body's doing all of its functions of the repair, rebuild, and all those detox type functions. So maybe you have a bioflow issue where bile is not flowing correctly. This is really common. And you can check out our video on 10 signs for poor bile flow, because if bile isn't flowing correctly, you got a lot more problems than just night sweats that are going on. You really want to correct that to correct a lot of problems that are going on in the body when the body can't detox the way that it wants to, and when it can't digest food the way that it wants to, which it can't if bile is not flowing correctly. And this detox scenario of pushing toxins out through the skin could also be going on when a person is taking a variety of medications that the body is viewing as a toxin, and it needs to try to push them out through the skin because the liver or the bioflow is not functioning the way that it should function. So that's why you hear a lot about, oh, medications can cause this. Sometimes it's just the body can't detox from the medications and it's trying to push it out through the skin. Now that doesn't mean I'm telling you to stop taking any of your medications. That's something you have to talk to your doctor about, so don't get confused about that. Now another issue that can create this problem is hyperthyroid, where there's an overactive thyroid, and often this is caused by autoimmune issues, and a lot of these autoimmune issues are actually caused by food sensitivity problems, where basically the body isn't really going to war against itself, it's going to war against a peanut butter sandwich or whatever food you're having a food sensitivity issue. So we're going to put a link in the description below for a video that explains how food sensitivities come about and the trouble that they can cause in the body. But with a hyperthyroid, that can cause problems with the hypothalamus that kind of can control our body temperature in some cases. So that may need to be corrected in order to correct this problem. And that may be a scenario where you see low estrogen levels. So it's really possible to see this problem with hormones that are too low and that are too high and just kind of out of whack altogether. Other issues that people kind of agree upon that can create this issue are mood disorders and infections. And infections can really be a big one because a person can have a chronic infection for years or decades and have it go undiagnosed for a long time. A lot of these infections just don't get diagnosed for a wide variety of reasons, like all these fungal, yeast, mold issues. A lot of those, the doctors are not picking up on them because they're not looking for them. So if a person has a chronic infection, then a lot of their resources are going towards dealing with this invader, and that's leaving a low level of resources for the body to run the rest of its functions. And it's really stressing out the body, and it's viewing this invader as a lion that's trying to chase it. So it can really push you into that fight or flight state. And a lot of these mood disorders are caused by low blood pressure, low minerals, and low nutrient levels. And there's not enough minerals in the system for signals to travel correctly, and there's not enough fuel for the brain to function correctly, and it can create these mood disorders. So it's not really the mood disorder that's creating these night sweats, it's the underlying cause of these mood disorders that can also create these night sweats. They kind of view stress and anxiety as the same type issue, and we kind of view stress and anxiety as the same issue too. Anxiety can be caused by a low level of resources. Now there are other causes of anxiety, and we'll put a link in the description below for our video explaining all the causes of anxiety. But if that's a problem for you, you know that there's issues underlying that are creating some trouble, and this could just be part of the trouble that it's creating. And the last thing I'll say is that if you're drinking alcohol, alcohol has the ability to dysregulate our body temperature a little bit and also create a lot of stress and also a need to detox. So test out, hey, how about if I don't drink alcohol for a few weeks and see, does it change at all? And yes, you can do it. It's a big deal, but yeah, you can do it. It's not that hard if you just decide, hey, this is important enough that I don't want to wake up in a puddle of sweat every night. So those are a lot of factors to look at, and it kind of helps you understand why this situation is so confusing and why the medical world doesn't have a this is the answer. It's because there is no this is the answer. There can't be a this is the answer when all those possible causes are available. So it's really about looking at your unique bio-individuality and figure out how your body is operating so that you can work on the underlying cause that may be creating the problem for you. So we'll put the link to the free book and the free course in the description below, just in case you feel like you need any help. This can be a lot of details and a lot to go through. But if you are having any digestive issues at all, any type of symptoms that have to do with digestion, check out our video on understanding digestive troubles so you can gain insights into which aspects of digestion may not be working for you and steps you can take to improve those. I can't wait to hear about your results.